Imagine for a second that you buy a really complex piece of machinery.
Okay.
It's expensive, it's delicate, and if you press the wrong button, it just, overheats.
Sounds like a pretty expensive mistake waiting to happen.
Right. But when you open the box, there's no instruction manual, nothing. You're just supposed to guess how it works.
And that is, well, that's a perfect analogy for how most of us treat our own minds.
Exactly. We live inside this unbelievably complex machine, but we're never really taught how to operate it. We just stumble around pressing buttons, and then we wonder why we feel anxious or why we can't sleep.
And that's the exact gap that Dr. Julie Smith is trying to fill.
Today, we are deep diving into the work of Dr. Julie Smith. She's a clinical psychologist, over a decade of experience in the UK's National Health Service, private practice.
But you probably know her from somewhere else.
You probably know her because she did something most clinical psychologists would find, terrifying.
She took her entire practice to TikTok. And we're not talking about a little side project. I mean, she has millions of followers. She basically became the internet's therapist.
And we're basing this deep dive on her really long, in-depth conversation on the diary of a CEO. And what struck me wasn't just the fame, it was the mission behind it.
Yeah, why? Why does a serious clinician, a self-described introvert, put herself on a platform known for, dance trends?
Right.
And it really comes down to democratization. Smith realized that in her clinic, she was teaching the same fundamental life skills to almost every patient.
The basics.
The absolute basics. And she thought it was fundamentally unfair that you had to be in a crisis or pay for a private session just to learn how your own brain works.
She wanted to give people that toolkit before they hit rock bottom.
Exactly.
So let's open that toolkit. We're going to look at why your brain is just wired to fixate on that one negative comment.
Oh, yes.
The difference between goals and values, which is a huge distinction, and why treating yourself like a cyborg is making you miserable.
Let's start with that feedback loop.
Yeah.
Because when she moved from, the privacy of a clinic to the public square of social media, she ran headfirst into a very specific psychological hurdle.
The comment section.
The comment section. She talks about this phenomenon where she could get 1,000 comments saying, "This video saved me," or "Thank you so much."
Yeah.
But her brain would hunt. It would scan for the one comment that said, "You look tired," or "I don't agree with this."
She calls this the mental filter, right?
Yes. And it's so important to understand this isn't just like low self-esteem or being too sensitive. This is evolutionary biology. Smith explains our brains are not designed to make us happy. They're designed to keep us alive.
So happiness is a luxury feature. Survival is the main operating system.
Precisely. In a tribal setting, thousands of years ago, praise was nice, sure, but rejection. Rejection was a death sentence.
If the tribe kicked you out, you were done for.
You didn't survive on your own. So our brains evolved a negativity bias. It scans for threats, and that includes social threats, with a much, much higher priority than it scans for praise.
Which is why the advice to just don't care what people think it's just terrible advice. It feels impossible to do.
It is impossible advice. You can't just turn off a biological survival mechanism.
Oh, what do you do?
Well, Smith argues that the initial feeling of rejection, that punch in the gut, is automatic. That's the amygdala fire, and you can't stop it.
Okay.
But you can control the story you tell yourself after that feeling hits.
So the power is in the reaction, not the initial emotion.
Correct. You can notice the feeling and just say, okay, there's my brain doing that threat detection thing again, instead of spiraling into, I'm a terrible person. It's about creating that gap.
That distinction between what we feel and what we do seems to be a huge theme in her work.
Oh.
Which leads us to what was probably the biggest aha moment for me in all this.
What was that?
The difference between goals and values.
Oh, this is crucial because our entire culture is obsessed with goal setting.
Completely. We're taught that happiness is just on the other side of some achievement.
I'll be happy when I get the promotion.
I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. We've all said it.
Exactly. And Smith points out the trap in that. A goal is a destination. It's finite. You pass the exam, you buy the house, and then it's done.
And then you feel empty.
Often, yeah. People cross that finish line and they don't feel euphoria. They just feel a bit lost. The thing that was driving them is just gone.
So how is a value different? Because they can sound kind of similar.
Okay, think of it this way. A value isn't a destination, it's a direction. It's a way of traveling.
I like that.
You can achieve the goal of getting married, right? Check it off the list.
Yeah.
But the value of being a loving partner,
Yeah.
you never complete that.
No, you have to wake up and do it again every single day.
Every single day. It changes the whole metric of success. It's not did I win?
Uh,
It's, am I still heading in the right direction?
Am I on the right path?
And she offers a really practical way to do this, a values check-in.
Okay.
You look at the different parts of your life, work, relationships, health, whatever, and you define who you want to be in those spaces. Not what you want to get, but who you want to be.
So, like, I want to be a patient parent, or I want to be a courageous creative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then, and this is the tough part, you rate two things on a scale of 1 to 10. First, how important is that value to you? That's usually high, a 9 or a 10.
Sure.
Second, how much have you actually acted in line with that value this week?
Oof. That's where it hurts. You might say health is a 10 out of 10 for importance, but your actions were like a 2.
And that gap, that pain,
Yeah.
it's useful. It's just data.
Yeah.
It's not there to make you feel bad about yourself.
It's a compass correction.
It's a compass correction. It
Yeah.
tells you exactly where you've drifted so you can steer the ship back.
Yeah.
It makes that vague feeling of something's wrong into something really specific and actionable.
But steering back often means doing things that are uncomfortable, which brings us to confidence. I think most people, myself included, see confidence as like a prerequisite. You have to feel confident before you can do the scary thing.
That is the great confidence trap.
Yeah.
And Smith uses this brilliant analogy with two balloons.
Okay, lay it on us.
So imagine two balloons connected by a tube. One is labeled confidence, and the other is labeled vulnerability.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
If you just stay in the confidence balloon, your comfort zone, you feel safe, sure, but the air is just trapped there.
Right.
To make that confidence balloon bigger, you actually have to squeeze the vulnerability balloon. You have to do the uncomfortable thing to push the air across.
So you have to do the thing that scares you before you have the confidence for it.
Yes. We have the equation totally backwards. We wait for the feeling of confidence to show up so we can act. But biologically, confidence is the result of action. It's your brain looking back at what you just did and going, oh, we survived that. Well, okay, I guess we're capable.
You have to survive the vulnerability to earn the confidence. That is both really empowering and also incredibly annoying. I'd really rather just have the confidence first.
We all would. But just knowing that the anxiety is the price of admission for growth makes it a bit easier to handle. You stop waiting for the fear to go away, and you start acting in spite of it.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, but let's pivot to the cost of all this striving. Smith talks about the cyborg problem. What does she mean by that?
She's talking about the modern expectation that we should all function like machines. We have these ideals for every single part of life, the ideal worker, the ideal parent, the ideal body, and we try to maximize all of them at the same time, and we assume we can do it without any, maintenance.
We treat sleep and rest and good food as these optional little luxuries.
Like a nice to have.
Yeah, instead of what they are, which is operational requirements. Like we can just plug into the wall for 10 minutes and be back at 100%.
Right. And Smith argues that a huge chunk of what we call mental health struggles is actually just physiological neglect. We are biological organisms. If you don't sleep, you will feel anxious. If you don't move your body, your mood will drop.
You can't think your way out of a problem that your body is causing.
You really can't. And speaking of physiology, she got super specific about anxiety, describing it not as a worry in your head, but as a physical state.
This is key.
Yeah. When you get stressed, your amygdala, the brain's little alarm system, it fires. But the very first thing that changes isn't your thoughts. It's your breath.
It gets shallow and fast.
Exactly. And that signals your heart to speed up, which then dumps adrenaline into your system.
And it becomes a feedback loop.
A total feedback loop.
Yeah.
The brain senses danger, changes the breath. The breath revs up the heart. The heart tells the brain, oh yeah, we're definitely in danger. And suddenly you're having a full-blown panic attack over an email.
But you can hack that loop.
You can reverse engineer it. Smith teaches box breathing, or square breathing. It's used by everyone from Navy SEALs to clinicians for one reason. It works on a biological level.
Okay, walk us through it. And if you're listening and not, driving, maybe try this with us.
Picture a square. A window frame is perfect.
Yeah.
You trace the vertical side going up and you breathe in for 4 seconds.
In.
2, 3, 4.
Then you trace across the top and you hold that breath for 4 seconds.
Hold. 2, 3, 4.
Then down the other side, breathe OUT for 4 seconds. And finally, across the bottom, hold the empty breath for 4 more seconds.
In, hold, out, hold, all for 4 seconds.
And the magic is really in the exhale and the hold. By slowing that rhythm down, you are physically forcing your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in.
The rest and digest system.
That's the one. You are manually hitting the brake pedal on your own anxiety.
It's like a hardware reset for a software problem.
That's a perfect way to put it. It just stops the physiological spiral so that you can actually think clearly again. I want to move to the last big piece of her toolkit, relationships. She made a pretty bold claim that she's never had a single therapy session that didn't eventually come back to relationships.
Well, it's the fabric of our lives, isn't it? But she brings in this concept called core beliefs that explains why we keep making the same mistakes over and over.
These are the beliefs we form when we're kids.
Yeah. Based on how we were treated, we form these deep, absolute truths about ourselves. Things like, I am unlovable, or I have to be perfect to be safe.
And then we create rules for living to protect ourselves from those beliefs being proven true.
You got it. So if my core belief is I'm unlovable, my rule might be I'll reject people before they have a chance to reject me.
Which, of course, creates a loop.
A self-fulfilling prophecy. She uses a framework called cognitive analytic therapy, or ACAT. It's all about mapping these cycles. A trigger happens, you do your safety behavior like withdrawing or lashing out, and that very behavior causes the exact rejection you were trying to avoid.
And you can't stop it if you can't see it.
Not a chance. The therapy is about literally drawing that map so you can spot the exit ramp. So you can say, oh, wait, I'm in the loop. My instinct is telling me to pull away, so I need to do the opposite.
That sounds so hard to do in the moment, though.
It is incredibly hard. It takes so much practice. But the alternative is just staying stuck in that loop forever.
She also spent time just dismantling some of the myths that keep us in those loops. The one that really hit for me was the idea that love shouldn't be hard.
It's such a dangerous narrative. We see all the highlight reels online and think any conflict means we failed.
Yeah.
Smith is very clear. Conflict is inevitable when two different humans try to build a life together. The goal isn't a relationship without fights. It's a relationship that knows how to repair itself after a fight.
And avoiding that binary trap.
Right. The Valentine's Day trap. We judge our relationships on these big performative moments. He didn't buy me flowers, so therefore he doesn't love me. It's such black and white thinking. She encourages looking at the aggregate, the general feeling of safety and connection over time, rather than grading your partner on a daily checklist.
It feels like so much of her advice comes down to zooming out.
Yeah.
Looking at the long-term values, the patterns in relationships, and that zoom-out perspective got really profound at the end of the interview when they started talking about death.
They did. It's the ultimate zoom out, isn't it? She used the analogy of a sand timer. We all have one. And the sand is running through it right now, this very second.
Which could sound really depressing, but she framed it as almost economic.
Scarcity creates value. If gold was as common as dirt, it wouldn't be valuable.
Right.
If our time were infinite, this moment right now wouldn't matter at all. But because it is finite, every single moment has value. Acknowledging that sand timer forces you to stop sleepwalking through your own life.
And that led to the final question from the source material. It's a tradition on that show for the guest to leave a question for the next one. But the answer Smith gave to the previous guest's question was it was beautiful.
The question was, what would you do differently if you didn't have to do anything? So if you didn't have to earn money or prove your worth or maintain your status.
And just remember, this is a best-selling author, a viral sensation, a top-tier professional. She could have said start a foundation or write another book. And her answer.
She said she would go to the beach with her kids and throw sticks for the dog.
It's just so simple.
It is. And it reveals the big irony of the cyborg life. We work ourselves into the ground, optimizing and striving, so that we can buy the freedom to enjoy simple moments.
That are available to us right now.
That are right there. We skip the happiness to work for the happiness.
That's the takeaway for me. We need this toolkit. The breathing, the values check-in, the relationship maps, not so we can become more productive machines, but so we can be more present humans.
Well said.
So here's our challenge to you for this week. Just pick one tool. Maybe it's the box breathing the next time you feel that tightness in your chest.
Or maybe it's doing that values check-in, just to see if your ladder is leaning against the right wall.
Don't try to fix everything at once.
Just try to be a little less of a cyborg today.
Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.